Listen, if right now you feel like you are extremely busy, but your bank account is not matching your efforts, this video is for you. Today, I'm exposing the top 7 profit leaks in most online service businesses. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am Ebony Evaughn, your go-to business operations strategist, here to help you grow your business with people and processes. In today's video, we are talking about revenue gaps and profit leaks. If you are new here, for context information, I help online businesses to optimize their businesses so that they can eliminate revenue gaps and protect their profits. And one of the number one services that I offer is business audits, where I will actually go through a business. I'll look at their operations, I'll look at their systems, I'll look at all of their processes, their tech stack, their products and services, and I will identify any inefficiencies that I see so that they can actually eliminate revenue gaps. Something that I'm currently seeing a lot in the market when people are coming to me is a lot of them have kind of reached a revenue plateau where they've been doing things the same way for so long and it's been working for them, but they reached a point to where now they're starting to miss out on new business opportunities because their business just doesn't have the capacity to do anymore, to take on any new clients, to create new offers. So that's kind of where I come in. And one of the main services that I offer is my business audits. And in today's video, I want to kind of summarize the top 7 common profit leaks that I see when I do my audits. Now, this video could go on and on and on forever, and I could probably talk about 20 different profit leaks that I see often, but I wanted to, stick to 7, number one, so I could create this thumbnail. I've been wanting to do this thumbnail for like a year, right? Ever since I saw the Levels of Rapper video, but anyways, so I wanted to stick to 7 to keep this video short, but also highlight the ones that I think that will help people when it comes to eliminating revenue gaps the most and protecting their profits. All right, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the first profit leak, which is going to be scope creep. So for those of y'all who are not familiar, I've done a whole video about project scope creep. I will leave it up in the cards for you. But in a nutshell, project scope creep is essentially when you're working on a project and you agree to a specific set of deliverables, but as you progress through the design, they're asking for more and more requests. And this is something that is very common in the online service industry. And my recommendations for you to combat this is going to be, number one, have contracts in place. In your contracts, you want to make sure that they're not just general or using generic language to say, hey, I'm doing this project for this set fee or for this amount. You want to make sure that in your contract you are outlining the specific deliverables that are including, and even going as far as saying what's not included if you notice that you're getting a lot of clients that ask for the same additional work that's not necessarily included in your service packages. Now, I know for every single project or the work that you do, you may not use contracts, or contracts may not be necessary. I know for me, I don't always use contracts, but even if I don't have a contract for a project, I will always do at a minimum a proposal or some type of SAL, which is like your scope of work that outlines this project is about this, and you say what the deliverables are. If there's phases, timelines, you at least have a guideline for what's included, what the expectation is, and what the deliverables are going to be. So have a contract if you can. At a minimum, always have a SAL, a scope of work, or a proposal that outlines the work to help you from having to do all that extra work and dealing with scope creep. Now, let's get into the second profit leak that I see all the time. And I already hinted at this at the intro of this video, and this is what I call being broke and busy. So there was an era in social media where everyone was talking about being booked and busy, and in reality, behind the scenes, a lot of people were what I call broke and busy. And what I mean by this is not necessarily saying that you're doing all these things and not making money. A lot of people do make money, but when they actually look at the fruits of their business, there's nothing to show for it. And the reason why is because people don't track their numbers. People don't actually pay attention to their financials. So they may say, I had $30,000 in sales this month, but they're not really realizing that they spent $35,000 in expenses, right? Now, hopefully nobody has that much expense going on in their business, but if you're someone who's running Facebook ads, Google ads, you're doing any type of paid advertisements, you would be surprised by how quickly your expenses are running up. So what I tell people is, regardless of what your sales funnel looks like, what your business model is, you need to know your numbers. You need to be tracking KPIs, your key performance indicators, so you know from end to end in every aspect of your business what's generating you money, what's costing you money, and what's worth its effort. So what I mean by this is, oftentimes when I'm actually doing audits for clients, I'll look at their marketing channels, I'll look at every avenue where they're generating leads, and then I'll see that someone is spending, a majority of their time promoting on Instagram, and they may get 1 or 2 leads from Instagram, but it's not translating into sales. But then they're also using LinkedIn. They're not posting as much on LinkedIn, but every time they post on LinkedIn, or maybe they do a podcast, then they get a flood of 20 new clients that comes in. And it's like, well, you're not really doing podcasts, you're not really posting on LinkedIn, but that's where all your clients are coming from. You're posting on Instagram every single day, but it's not generating any leads or sales. So when I say know your numbers, I mean all your numbers. Like, look at all of your marketing channels. Which marketing channels are actually generating you leads? Of those leads, how many of them are translating into clients for you? And which marketing channels have the highest conversion rates? When you look at your sales funnels, how many people are coming into your sales funnel and then actually making it all the way to the sales and converting into clients for you? Is there a point within your sales funnel where you notice that people fall off? It doesn't matter if you generate 1,000 leads from a webinar, but then only one of those leads actually turns into a client. That lets me know that there's something broken within that process and you need to identify it. So when I say know your numbers, I mean know your numbers. Know all of them. Know your financials. If you're generating $25,000 a month, how much of that is actual profits? What are your business expenses every single month? So don't just be out here hustling and thinking because you're bringing in sales, you're making money, that you're actually profitable, okay? You need to be backing it up with factual data that is telling you a realistic story and not just basing the decisions in your business off of assumptions, all right? Well, listen, I can talk about knowing your numbers all day. I also used to be an aircraft analyst in the military. So I came from the world of analytics and statistics and looking at numbers, and people say numbers don't lie, but people can make numbers say anything that they want to say. So when you see people marketing on social media and they're talking about how they made $25,000 for a lunch, or they made this, typically they are talking about in sales, and they're not talking about the actual profit that they generated, okay? All right, so let's move on. I'm gonna digress on that topic. So let's go ahead and get into profit leak number 3, which is going to be what I call being the COE, not the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, but the COE, Chief of Everything. You are the person in your business who's like, I could do it myself, and you're wearing 17 different hats. You're the assistant, you're the customer support, you're the marketing manager, you are everything within your business. And I understand in the beginning when you're first starting out, you have to be all the things and do all the things, because number one, I think it's good for you to learn every aspect of your business so that when you do hire people, you have a barometer to know if that person is doing what they're supposed to do or not. You have a set expectation for how you want different aspects of your business to be ran and to be managed, right? So I think it's good for you to know how to do everything and to be familiar with every area of your business. But as your business grows, there's going to become a point where you doing all the things is starting to hold you back. You're going to miss out on opportunities. You're going to hit a plateau where you can't even generate additional revenue because you're the bottleneck in your own business. And so you reach a point to where you have to think realistically to say, I shouldn't be up at 2 a.m. in the morning responding to customer support emails because someone lost their login information for your course platform, or you shouldn't be the one having to answer every email you get when you have maybe speaking opportunities. These are lower level administrative tasks that it will most likely be more efficient if you outsource that to a virtual assistant, or you outsource your marketing to a marketing manager or a social media manager. So you spending that $10 an hour for someone to handle your customer support frees you up to focus on doing more $250 an hour strategy sessions, right? So there's going to become a point when you can't be the chief of everything. You're going to have to start giving your role away. And I always tell my clients, if you have a healthy business that is growing, your goal should be to have a business where you could just sit in your CEO heels and you kind of direct things from the top down, right? So as your business grows, you should be giving your role away. All right, let's keep it moving and let's get into profit leak number 4, which is going to be unprofitable clients. And I've already done a video talking about unprofitable clients as well. I will link that up in the cards for you. But generally, when it comes to unprofitable clients, something that I'm starting to see a lot lately is there's this whole kind of shift where people say, oh, I'm de-niching, right? I don't want to have a niche, or I'm going to layer instead. And in that process, what it's actually doing is diluting the clarity that you have around who your target market is and who you're actually serving with your products and services. And so what that does is, instead of you being able to tailor your products and services, tailor your messaging to a specific audience, you kind of dilute your message so that it fits a more broader appeal. But in that process, it's going to diminish your conversions, right? And so what I'm noticing is a lot of people are attracting clients and they pay you, yes, but they're not actually your ideal clients. And so one thing that I've been doing for like the past 5-6 years is I've actually been applying the Pareto principle to my business. So Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, is basically a rule that states that 80% of the results typically comes from 20% of the inputs, right? So how I apply that to my business when it comes to my clients is, when I look at the top 20% of my clients, typically they generate the top 80% of revenue. But not only that, typically these are my dream clients that I love to work with. They're the ones that they're easy to deal with. They don't cause a lot of stress, a lot of problems. But on the flip side of that, you also have the bottom 20% where you have the people who cause the 80% the most friction, the most frustrations in your business. These are going to be people that are, have the refunds, the chargebacks. They're always sending in customer support tickets. They always have questions. They always have extra needs. They always require a lot of your attention, and they cause a lot of frustration, right? So what I tell my clients is to look at your client list every year. I do it every year. You could do it every quarter if you want, depending on how big your client list is. your business model, but at least once a year, you should be looking at your client list and looking at your top 20% of clients that are generating the most revenue for you, or your ideal clients that you enjoy working with. And you should be narrowing down your scope of who's in your target audience based on that list. Now that we have talked about unprofitable clients, this is going to take us straight into profit leak number 5, which is going to be refunds and chargebacks. So when it comes to refunds and chargebacks, these occur for a lot of reasons, right? Typically, when you have that bottom percent of clients that are not your ideal clients, but you take their money anyways, these are going to be the people that are more likely to request refunds or to do chargebacks through their banks. So in order for you to avoid that happening, this comes with you understanding who your target audience is and making sure that you're just not accepting money for everybody just so that you could do a quick cash grab, right? All money is not good money. So you want to make sure that you have clear refund policies and guarantees in place. So when people purchase something from you, you want to make sure if it's a digital product, all sales are final, that you communicate that on your sales pages and your email communications, right? But in addition to that, outside of just having policies, you want to make sure that you're doing periodic satisfaction surveys or feedback with your customers so that you know that your products are delivering the transformation and the results that they're supposed to. And you can see, you can do a temp check to see how your clients are feeling. Do they feel like your products and services are worth the value? Do they feel like they got what they were promised, right? Do they feel like your product was a cash grab and you out here grifting and scamming? So you want to make sure that you're doing satisfaction surveys, and this is going to help you make sure that you're always creating products and services that people actually want and need, and that your products are providing the results or the transformation or the promise that you said you were going to give people. Give the people what they want, okay? If you're constantly auditing, if you're constantly doing feedback surveys, then there's no reason that you should be getting a high volume of refunds or chargebacks. Profit leak number 6 is going to be being a yes man, or should I say a yes woman. And this is basically saying yes to every opportunity that comes through the door. Like I said, all money is not good money, okay? The more you say yes to the things that are not in your wheelhouse that you should be declining, then the harder it is going to be for you to get the yeses that are for you. So, and I say this from someone who's struggled with this a lot in my own business, okay? For those of you who don't know, my background is in HR. I have a master's in human resources. And so when I first started coaching, I was a career coach. And how I got into business coaching was I had clients that would say, well, Ebony, like, forget getting another job. Like, how can I start my own business like you, right? And at first, I was kind of hesitant, but then I was like, well, if people are asking for it, I got to get the people what they want, right? And so then I started coaching them, instead of how to get a job, how to start their own businesses. And then I kind of went from there. But I would say yes. If people were like, Ebony, can you come to my nonprofit and teach a workshop about this? I'd be like, sure. Like, if people were throwing their wallets at me, I would say yes to everything. And I quickly found myself overwhelmed. I found myself burnt out because I literally would just say yes to every single opportunity. Now, as I've become more mature in business, as I've gotten wiser, I realize that every opportunity is not for me. And it's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes just because someone is giving you offers. Even when it comes to like brand deals and sponsorships, I have gotten requests from every single webinar platform out there, and you guys have only seen 2 on this channel, right? And that's because I don't feel like I have to say yes to something if I don't believe in it. But you have to kind of figure out, number one, what your values are when it comes to things like that, brand partnerships, different opportunities in your business. But then you have to figure out what you want to be known for. And when you get opportunities, you have to ask yourself, is this opportunity something that's going to help further me in the direction that I'm going, what I want to be known for, and my values and what I stand for? Or is this opportunity going to take me away from that, right? And so that's how I look at things. If it's going to push me forward towards where I'm going, my values, my goals, and what I want to be known for, then it's a yes. Otherwise, it's always going to be a no for me. And so you have to figure out what that boundary is and what those lines are for your own business. Oh, child, I have been yapping, but somehow we have finally made it to profit leak number 7. And this is going to be ignoring client retention. So something that I see often whenever I audit business is people kind of have this one thing, right? This one thing that they want to be known for, this one thing that they focus on selling. And they may have like other little products and services over here that are kind of afterthoughts. But typically people will focus on selling that one thing and then they're selling it over and over again without actually creating like a product lining system. And what I mean by this is I will always tell my clients that it is easier for you to keep a client that you already have than to have to go out and find a new client, right? Every time you have to go find a new client, that's increasing your acquisition costs, is increasing your marketing budget, is time consuming. And so if you have a client that is already in your ecosystem, it is easier for you to create other products and services that are going to be valuable for them that can help you increase the lifetime value of that client versus you having to constantly go out and generate new leads. Generating new leads is exhausting, it's time consuming, and it is extremely costly depending on the marketing channels or avenues that you're using. So to combat that, I will tell people to create a product lining system. You may have this one thing that you're known for, but what are some other products and services that you can offer for your ideal client that can keep them in your ecosystem and help you increase that lifetime value? All right, so there you have it, you guys. This video is way longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like an 8-minute video, but clearly your girl has some things to say when it comes to these profit leaks. I hope me taking the time to really thoroughly explain the different profit leaks, why they occur, and how you can combat them has been extremely valuable for you. If so, give this video a like, okay? As always, I just want to say thank you guys so much for stopping by my internet home, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all. You can go deeper on this topic by watching the playlist on the top right of the screen. But if you'd rather have me build these systems for you, you can see how you can work with me using the link to the right. Otherwise, watch the video above because it's what YouTube thinks you'll like best.